Have you ever been lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying that one thing? You know the one, that conversation, that decision, that single moment that just spins on a loop in your head? Yeah, me too. For years, I was haunted by the ghost of a business I'd poured my entire soul into, just to watch it crumble. It felt like this colossal failure was an anchor chained to my ankle, dragging me down into a sea of what ifs and if-onlys. But what if I told you that anchor is actually a launching pad? What if that heavy, sinking feeling of regret isn't meant to drown you, but is actually a powerful signal trying to get your attention? In this video, I'm not just going to tell you that's true. I'm going to show you. I'm going to share how my biggest regrets became my most powerful rocket fuel, and how you can make that exact same transformation. Before we can turn regret into fuel, we have to get real about what we're dealing with. That gut punch feeling is a universal human experience. If you've felt it, it doesn't mean you're broken, it just means you're human. Psychologists have a fancy term for what our brain is doing: counterfactual thinking. It's our brain's natural and sometimes maddening ability to imagine different realities where we made a better choice. We play a little mental movie of a better outcome, and that gap between the fantasy and our reality, that's where the sting comes from. For me, that sting was a constant companion. After my business failed, I wasn't just broke, I felt broken. I'd lie awake replaying every single decision, every red flag I'd casually waved away, every warning I'd dismissed. Regret wasn't just a feeling, it was a thief. It stole my sleep, my confidence, and it was trying its best to steal my future. I was totally convinced that my best days were behind me, and that I had already squandered my one big shot. This kind of pain often goes deeper than just a bad outcome. Regret gets really heavy when the decision that caused it goes against our core values. I value collaboration and careful planning, but in my frantic race for success, I had cut corners and tried to do everything myself. So the regret wasn't just about the money I'd lost. It was about the person I had become. It was a painful misalignment with who I wanted to be. And that very pain, that signal of misalignment, is the secret to our growth. It's not a punishment, it's a compass trying to point us back home. So, how do we start using this compass? How do we actually start converting this heavy anchor into rocket fuel? It comes down to a 3-step process: acknowledge, interrogate, and integrate. The first step, and honestly the hardest one, is to just acknowledge the regret and let yourself feel it without the usual storm of self-criticism. You know that cruel narrator that pops into your head, the one that says, "You should have known better." We have to learn to quiet that voice. You need to remember, you made the best decision you could with the information and the emotional state you had at that time. Practicing self-compassion isn't a fluffy excuse, it's a requirement for moving on. You wouldn't endlessly tear down a friend for making a mistake, yet we do it to ourselves without a second thought. This is about treating yourself with that same kindness. For me, it meant finally looking in the mirror and saying out loud, "The business failed. I made mistakes, and that's okay." It wasn't about liking the failure, but about stopping the brutal self-blame that was keeping me stuck. Psychologists call this cognitive reappraisal. It's just a way of saying you're changing the story you tell yourself. Instead of a story of failure, it becomes a story of experience. A simple way to start is to just take a deep breath, close your eyes, and notice the feeling of regret in your body without judging it. Give yourself permission to feel the disappointment or sadness for a moment. When you bring it out of the shadows, it loses its power over you. Before we jump to the next step, I want to create a space for us to do this together, because regret can feel incredibly lonely. In the comments below, if you feel comfortable, share a single word that describes how regret feels to you. Let's create a map of this shared experience and show each other we're not alone in this. Okay, now that we've allowed ourselves to feel it without judgment, it's time to interrogate it. This is where you shift from being a victim of your past to becoming a student of it. The most powerful question you can ask is this: what is this regret trying to teach me? This one question transforms regret from a source of pain into a source of data. As the brilliant researcher Brené Brown says, "No regrets doesn't mean living with courage, it means living without reflection." Regret is a call to reflect. It's an invitation to find the wisdom that's buried in the wound. So I asked myself that question relentlessly. What was my failed business trying to teach me? The answer when it came was crystal clear. It wasn't about profit margins or marketing. On a much deeper level, it was teaching me that I had valued the appearance of success over the substance of it. It was teaching me that I had sacrificed my core value of collaboration. And it was teaching me that my fear of asking for help was more dangerous than any competitor. We tend to regret the things we didn't do, the risks we didn't take, the courage we didn't show, far more than the things we did. My regret was showing me that my inaction, my failure to be vulnerable and ask for support, was the real mistake. That lesson was gold hiding in the wreckage. So, how do we finally turn this feeling into fuel? This brings us to the final and most important step. Integrate the lesson. This is where insight becomes action. A lesson learned but not applied is just a souvenir from a painful trip. A lesson that actually changes your behavior. That's rocket fuel. You can't change the past, but you have total power to shape your future using the wisdom your regret gave you. For me, that meant turning the lessons from my failure into a non-negotiable checklist. The pain of my regret became the blueprint for my next chapter. When I started my next company, collaboration wasn't just a buzzword, it was the entire foundation. I built a team with people who were smarter than me in my weak spots. I scheduled regular check-ins specifically to ask for help. I prioritized slow, sustainable growth over flashy, quick wins. My regret didn't haunt me anymore. It guided me. It made me a better leader, a better partner, and a better entrepreneur. That past failure directly fueled my future success. This is the final transformation. Think about the lesson your regret is teaching you. Now, what's one small, concrete action you can take this week that aligns with that lesson? If you regret not being a kinder friend, maybe you send one thoughtful text. If you regret not pursuing a passion, maybe you spend 30 minutes researching a class. This is how you prove to yourself that the past doesn't define you, but it sure can inform a better future. That heavy weight of regret isn't a life sentence. It's a signal. It's a teacher. And if you let it, it can be the most powerful motivator you will ever have. First, acknowledge the feeling with compassion. Second, interrogate it by asking what it's here to teach you. And third, integrate that lesson into your life with new actions, no matter how small. Your past doesn't have to be an anchor holding you down. It can be the solid ground you launch from. Every if only can become the reason you say, next time, I will. The goal isn't to live a life without regrets. That's a life without reflection. The goal is to learn from them, honor them, and use them to build a future where you are braver, wiser, and more you. If this video helped you see your past in a new light, hit that subscribe button for more on turning life's challenges into your greatest strengths. And for those who want to go deeper, I've created a guided journaling worksheet to walk you through these 3 steps. You can download it for free at the link in the description. Now go turn that regret into your rocket fuel. But before we close, I want you to pause for a second and actually imagine this with me. Picture yourself 5 years from now. You're sitting with a cup of tea reflecting back on today. Will you be proud that you turned your regrets into growth, or will you still be haunted by the same what ifs? See, regret doesn't have to be your enemy. It can be your secret weapon. Think about some of the world's most inspiring people. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he founded. J.K. Rowling faced rejection after rejection before Harry Potter. Nelson Mandela lost decades of his life in prison. Every one of them could have drowned in regret, but instead they let regret redefine them. They mined the lessons, they integrated them, and they used them as rocket fuel to create something extraordinary. Now, I want you to try something practical. After this video, grab a notebook or even just open the Notes app on your phone. Write down 3 regrets that still whisper in your mind. Don't overthink it. Just write the first 3 that pop up. Next to each one, ask, what is this regret trying to teach me? And then, for each lesson, write one action you can take this week to start integrating it. Just one small step, because momentum begins with the smallest action. And here's the secret. When you take that action, no matter how small, something shifts inside you. The regret doesn't disappear overnight, but it changes shape. It stops being a heavy anchor and it starts being a quiet reminder that you're capable of growth, that you can be trusted with your own future, that you can turn pain into power. Remember, regret is proof that you cared. It means the choice mattered, and if it mattered, then the lesson is worth carrying forward. Imagine if, instead of being afraid of regret, you welcomed it like a mentor who shows up at the most inconvenient times, but always with the truth you need to hear. So, my challenge for you is this: don't run from your regrets anymore. Sit with them, learn from them, and then stand up and use them as fuel to build the version of yourself you've always wanted to be. Because if you don't, those what-ifs will keep stealing your sleep. But if you do, those same regrets will become the reason you rise.